Welcome, my friends. It's the 3rd of February, and now we're taking a final look at the business analysis piece for the new exam. There's a lot of content on the learning management system already, stuff that we recorded in our last session, and then we also have some auxiliary videos that I've recorded in advance, and these go deep into the business analysis domain. So just to remind you, your CAPM exam, the new one, is broken into these 4 domains: project management fundamentals and core concepts, and then predictive plan-based methodologies. Together, this forms 53% of the exam, which is why in the first half of today's video, I went pretty hard into the 49 processes, because that is a lot of the exam as well, just understanding the knowledge areas, the nuts and bolts of project management. Then we've covered Agile frameworks and methodologies. Definitely go back, watch the videos. Remember, Agile is a mindset. Remember, Scrum is an Agile framework. Then we go into business analysis frameworks. And business analysis frameworks is new, never been tested before on the CAPM exam, but is huge in that it's 27% of the exam. So in our last session, we pretty much covered everything here for the entire domain at a high level. We covered the BA role, we covered stakeholder communication, we covered requirements gathering, talked a little bit about roadmaps, talked about project methodologies, and the role of the business analyst in an agile environment, in an adaptive environment, is one that is worn by a lot of people. So you could have developers, maybe I'm a coder, but I could also play the part of a business analyst. I could be a tester, but I could also play the part of a business analyst. On and on and on. You know, I could be an engineer, but play the role of a business analyst. So in the world of Agile, instead of having one person who is the business analyst, it could be played by a number of people, could be. And maybe you've got the luxury of having a business analyst, but generally in Agile, multiple people play that role. Task 6, validate requirements through product delivery. And this just means the BA plays a role of making sure that whatever was delivered is truly what the customer wanted, is truly what the customer needed, and makes sense. Okay, so that's that. Let's move into our main handout for this course. Going in here, so you can see domain 4, business analysis frameworks. Task 1, again, looking at it under the microscope, they want you to distinguish between the roles of business analysis. We did this last week. We went through all of the associated roles of business analysis, how to conduct stakeholder communication. As you'll see, this is one of the knowledge areas within business analysis, to understand how best to communicate with your stakeholder. This again, task 3, is an entire knowledge area in business analysis, determining how to gather requirements. Task 4 is not an entire knowledge area, but we do talk about product roadmaps earlier on in the knowledge areas and process groups of business analysis. So we'll take a look at that today. Determine how project methodologies influence business analysis. Again, last week we talked a little bit about this, but the summary is the role of a business analyst could be played by a number of people in Agile. And lastly, validating requirements through delivery, the acceptance criteria, determining if a project or product is ready for delivery. That is another thing that business analyst does. Okay. So a reminder, business case for business analysis is that a lot of projects fail because of poor requirements management. And which role helps with this? It's the business analyst role. Okay, what is business analysis? We looked at this last time. It's the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to determine problems and opportunities, to identify business needs and recommend viable solutions, to elicit, analyze, and manage requirements, to define the benefits and approaches for measuring value and realizing value and analyzing results. All of this is part of business analysis. So what is business analysis? Another look from a reputable organization other than PMI. So these folks, the International Institute of Business Analysis, IABA, they came out with the BABOK, the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge, and it just says the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommended solutions that deliver value to stakeholders. It enables an enterprise to articulate needs and the rationale for change and to design and describe solutions that can deliver value. Let me give you a summary of what business analysis is in a picture. Think about the passage of time and think about the state in terms of, could be value, could be a dollar amount, or it could be just value that is not monetary. You have a state A for an organization. This is their current state. The job of the business analyst is to take this organization from its current state to the future state with the help of the team, the project manager, whoever else may be helping. But business analysis understands the needs and the solution surrounding this, the needs and the solution. And the role helps take that firm from wherever they are, or that business unit, whatever the entity is, it takes them from wherever they are to wherever they need to get to. Once you understand that about business analysis, the rest becomes easier. So business analysis is performed on a variety of initiatives with an enterprise. Initiatives may be strategic, technical, or operational. Business analysis may be performed within the boundaries of a project or throughout enterprise evolution and continuous improvement. It can be used to understand the current state, to define the future state, and to determine activities required to move from the current to the future state. That's really the summary. Knowing what is required and being able to be part of that move from the current state to the future state. All right, now we talked about this image here last week, and you can see their roles and responsibilities around the business analyst role. And I talked about how the business analyst interrelates with all of these. So that's a video you definitely want to go watch. And moving on to where we kind of got to last week, we got to this image, which shows how the different knowledge areas of business analysis interrelate. So there's 6 knowledge areas of business analysis. 1, there's a needs assessment, understanding what is needed. There's a stakeholder engagement, knowing what the stakeholders really want and engaging them. There's solution evaluation, which comes towards the end, which is evaluating the solution. But between knowing the needs and having the solution, there's all of this other work that needs to happen. So you gotta analyze what exactly is needed, and there's an elicitation that happens before that. So you got to elicit the requirements, you got to analyze the situation, understand the solution that's needed, have a vehicle for traceability and monitoring to be able to trace the requirements as they go through the process. And eventually you're going to have this back and forth interrelationship between the stakeholder and pretty much all the other steps in some way, right? But eventually you get to the point where you've got a solution that you believe works, implement the solution, and just check the effectiveness of it. It's part of the business analyst role. Any questions about the overall idea of the business analyst, who they are, what they do? Does it make sense?
This is a complete and total separation from the PMBOK, or is this one element of something in the PMBOK structure?
Great question, Stacy. So if you wanted to tie it somewhere, you would tie it majorly to collect requirements, but there's a lot more than just collecting the requirements. You got to go through a life cycle by tracking the requirements to their origin. In the world of project management, we just manage that as part of the project. But in this world of business analysis, we're looking at this little piece, if you will, as our entire world. So this is the world we know as business analysts. In the world of project management, there's a bigger world of other moving parts. But if you're going to put it somewhere, it would be collect requirements. Okay, so let me show you this map. This might help you make better sense of it. Again, you do not have to cram this. You've already got one table. One table is enough. But in business analysis, we have another table that looks like page 25. You don't have to memorize it. This one, I'm telling you, even at a high level, no, you don't need to. You just need to understand, in my mind, at a high level, what are the knowledge areas and what are we doing in each one? So if we zoom in, you can see we've got a needs assessment knowledge area, which is in chapter 4 of the book, a stakeholder engagement knowledge area, an elicitation knowledge area, an analysis knowledge area, traceability and monitoring, and solution evaluation. So we're going to go over these really quick. And as we're going through them, I'm going to put the second layer of paint on this, which is advising you to dig deeper and read some definitions. All right, so here's the very first knowledge area. The very first knowledge area is needs assessment, and it's analyzing current business problems or opportunities to understand what is necessary to attain the desired future state. We went through all the processes. So you can see it's got 7 processes. We went through all of these last week, so catch up on the video. The piece that I really want to underscore this week is the fact that we have these, and they're more like tools and techniques. So guess what I need you to do? I need you to sit down with this handout. Go online to the learning system, watch the videos where I talk about the tools and techniques of each knowledge area and get an understanding of each of these. It will be futile for me to sit down here at like 9 Eastern, trying to go through all of these. No, it's not going to work. What I need you to do is to spend time going over these. Not to cram, again, it's to understand. But I want you to spend time going over them and saying, do I know what that means? Do I know what that means? If you open up the glossary, you'll find explanations of all of these. If there's anyone that doesn't make sense, I would like to know. I'd like you to send it to me. But also remember that I've done some pre-recording of all of these. I've done videos that explain most of these tools and techniques to a good level of detail. In fact, I touch on all of them. This same slide, you'll find a video that touches on the tools and techniques. So I'm going to show you where that is before we go, but this is what I need you to do before being ready for even our mock exam, because our mock exam is going to have business analysis questions in there. Okay, for the newer exam, because I know for the older one that you folks, some of you folks are taking, yeah, that's already been sent to you. But this new exam, I have not sent you that, but I will when you're at that point, when you're ready, when you feel like you've studied business analysis, agile, predictive, and the basics enough, then yeah, you can take the exam that's based on some of this other stuff. All right, so this is a needs assessment. I really want you to get the essence of what it is. It's just assessing the current business problems to understand what is necessary to get to that future state. Okay. Any questions about the general concept of a needs assessment? Does anyone remember where the needs assessment comes in the PMBOK guide? Is it after the charter or is it before the charter? Or take a guess.
I'm trying to think where it would go. After.
Let me tell you which page to open. Open page 30 and look at the image on page 30 and then tell me what you think. PMBOK, not the business analysis guide this time. PMBOK. There's so many books. PMBOK 6. PMBOK 6, page 30.
Before.
You got it. You got it. Exactly. So we do our needs assessment before the charter. And as a result of the needs assessment, we flow into a business case. If the business case makes enough sense, then we flow into a project charter. The project is authorized, and then we can do all this other fun stuff that comes with business analysis. So when you're done with the needs assessment, the next thing they introduce you to is stakeholder engagement. So back to your question, Stacy, is there part of the PMBOK guide that doubles with this? Yes. So this is part of, you could call it the stakeholder engagement knowledge area. The only thing is that here we're thinking about the business analyst communication with the stakeholder. It's how do we engage them, not just on the project, but all through the requirements gathering and stuff. So it says, identifying and analyzing those who have an interest in the outcome of the solution to determine how to collaborate and communicate with them. So you're going to spend a lot of time eliciting requirements from these folks, getting them engaged in the whole thing, but the processes are different. And I covered these in the videos. All the 7 processes, I covered these last week. Let's move on. The next knowledge area is elicitation. Elicitation is a gentle drawing out of the knowledge. So it's planning and preparing for elicitation, conducting the elicitation, and confirming elicitation results to obtain information from sources. So when you're done eliciting, you still need to go back and say, let's confirm if what we got is truly what we need and is truly what is. Does it make sense? Okay. All right. This just shows the iterative nature of elicitation and analysis. So you're going to collect, draw out the requirements and then go back to the drawing board and say, do we have enough? Is there something else that's needed? If yes, you need to go back, then go back to elicitation. If no, we got what we need, then move forward, ask questions, additional questions or additional sources needed to consult for this. If yes, go back and consult. If no, move forward. The bottom line is they're just trying to show you that this doesn't happen one time. This whole elicitation versus analysis, it happens in rounds, multiple rounds. All right. Then we have the analysis process knowledge area, which is examining, breaking down, synthesizing, and clarifying information, the information you collected. See, so it's one thing to collect the information to understand, what exactly needs to be done, but then we have to break it down into even smaller pieces. We need to understand it. If it's not complete, we need to complete it. We need to improve it, but it's here that we kind of, as it were, put it under the microscope. All right, let's move forward. All right. The next thing that we talked about last week was traceability and monitoring. So tracing, approving, and assessing changes. Again, if you wanted to track this back to a PMBOK-oriented process, you could say very similar to collect requirements. In that, this is where we have a requirements traceability matrix being talked about, and it's an output of collect requirements. So we determine the traceability approach. What are we tracing and how? We establish relationships and dependencies. We select and approve the requirements, and then we manage changes to the requirements. We do the whole tracing throughout the life of the endeavor. That's what this is. Traceability happens all throughout. Next one is solution evaluation, validating a full solution or a segment of a solution that is about to be or has already been implemented to determine how well a solution meets the business needs and delivers value to the organization. So you could say it's one in which you're looking in the rearview mirror and you're saying, well, how well did this go? Did it go well? Does this meet what the customer wants? Does this fit the bill? If there was one you're going to tie this to, it would probably be more like quality, control quality. But again, the mindset is very different. Business analysis has its own cycle of life, its own terminology, and that's what we see here. So 1, evaluate solution performance. 2, determine solution evaluation approach. 3, evaluate acceptance results and address defects if there are defects. And 4, obtain solution acceptance for release. So when we talk about the acceptance in the world of PMBOK, we talk about validate scope. But here we're just talking about obtain solution acceptance for release. Okay. Again, the tools and techniques, it's going to be zero sum, just trying to do this at 9 p.m. Eastern, not good. But I would say just read the book and then watch the other videos I have on the system. And with that, I'm going to show you where you can get all of these pre-recorded videos for the business analysis piece. So we have classroom videos, which we create here, but we also have some pre-recorded videos, and I'm going to show those to you now. So let's jump in to the system. And I'll just freeze this for a second. All right, so in closing, when you go to the learning system, be sure to watch the videos that have the tools and techniques for each knowledge area, just about 5 minutes for each one. You can find them here. See this, needs assessment tools and techniques, stakeholder engagement tools and techniques, elicitation tools and techniques. That is going to help you get really good. All right. Any questions before our friends come back to join us? They're going to be joining us in a second. All right, I'm going to go back and hit the pause button, and we'll continue our discussion.